Hey, I want to welcome you back to the Weight Loss Decoded Podcast. I am your host, Sharon Polsky, and on today's show, we are going to welcome Jim Lavelle from A4M. And A4M is a medical organization that I have a lot of my certifications through, and a lot of doctors do continuing education through in functional medicine. And we are going to have a conversation about the necessity for you to do body composition testing when you are taking GLP weight loss medications. So I am so excited to welcome Jim Lavelle to the show. So Jim Lavelle is an expert in integrative medicine. He's internationally recognized. He's an author, board certified nutritionist, expert and educator in integrative health. He is super, super knowledgeable. And today we are going to talk about the importance of monitoring progress when people are taking GLP-1 weight loss medications. So welcome to the show, Jim Lavelle. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I guess I've been pretty darn passionate about this space called precision health for the last 40 years. I've been in practice doing this work now for 4 decades. So I love it. I act as the chief science officer for Lifetime. So we've got a couple million people and we're integrating things like GLP-1s into weight loss, but in what I like to say is a responsible way. I am the founder of Metabolic Enterprises, which is a cloud-based informatics company, which is being used in a bunch of different ways. Yeah, and then I'm the co-chair for the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and chair of the International Peptide Society. So one of my primary directives here as the chief science officer for Lifetime is really setting up programs where we are monitoring fat loss, maintenance of lean mass, looking at visceral fat, and providing more of a program that allows people to successfully not just to lose the weight, but understand how they got there, right? Because for a lot of times people use I like to call a GLP-1 a lifeline. It's a lifeline, but at the same time, you have to understand, well, what are my stress hormones like? Do I have gut barrier dysfunction? Where are my sex hormones at? Do I have any environmental burden? How did I get here? Because it isn't just, oh, you ate too much. Right? It's not that simple.
It isn't, because most of our patients have been BMI over 30 since they were 14 and 15 years old. So there's something that's been going on a very long time. And the great thing about a GLP-1 is for once in their lifetimes, they have an opportunity to change the lifestyle without it being so like they're climbing a mountain. It makes the mountain turn into a molehill.
That's exactly right. I mean, I think it is, when I heard people would criticize in the fitness industry, oh, that's cheating. Well, nobody says taking insulin is cheating. And GLP-1s are just incretin hormones that your pancreas also needs, just like insulin, in order to regulate glucose and the storage of fat. So there's no cheating involved. Like, we don't deprive people of insulin. So why would you deprive them of the need for a GLP-1? Now, what I like.
Well, it's because people don't even understand what a GLP-1 is. Like, we're taking these dogmatic fitness professionals, some of which are highly educated, but some of which barely have a high school education. And they just don't it's such a new conversation, just the GLP-1 hormone itself. It's such a new conversation that they don't understand it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think the biggest thing, I guess, for me is, I love it if we're able to move people to, in their maintenance, if they're not type 2 diabetics, if they're not truly insulin resistant, like someone who's on the borderline of becoming a diabetic, a person with diabetes, then are we able to utilize the GLP-1s in a titrated dose to restore that normal function of incretin hormone release, teach people how to chew their food again, because that starts to help that. Restore the signals from the gut like PYY and cholecystokinin and tell your brain, hey, I'm not hungry anymore. Because that's the big thing, right? I mean, when people take these, they go, the food noise went away. I can't believe how wonderful that is. I'm not hungry.
It was the greatest thing for me. I'm somebody who's thought about, even though I'm small, I've been insulin resistant my whole life. I just controlled it through diet and exercise and lifestyle and sleep.
You're very disciplined.
And very disciplined. And it was not easy. I have 2 of these parents, but it was the first time in my life taking tirzepatide. I didn't think about food. Literally the first time in my entire life.
Yeah, see, that's what I think is beautiful. I likewise had that same experience. My brother was 475 pounds. My mother was obese. My father was a type 2 diabetic. And so I was bound and determined not to be overweight.
Me too.
And so very mentally strong, but at the same time, you could look at food sometimes and go, I'm gonna eat all that. And then
Yeah.
you got the devil on one side and the angel on the other, and the angel would win 90% of the time. But when I think for people, when they start to understand, well, why do you have that appetite craving? And then the ability, the biggest thing to manage on this is, yes, manage that controlling the appetite and getting that food noise out of that ear is super important. The other piece is maintaining your lean mass. You've got to do this in a way that you keep your muscle. Muscle is the currency of aging. And so if you can keep your lean mass, and there's no reason why you can't.
No, and in fact, I'm going
about
to interrupt you just for 1 second because anecdotally, every single one of my clients on a GLP-1 has been able to lose body fat and gain muscle.
Of course.
And we don't have to cut the calories as low. So to me, the GLP-1 is actually the holy grail to exactly what you're saying.
Well, the studies, it was really funny when GLP-1s first came out and people were going, oh, you're losing all lean mass and you're not losing as much fat. GLP-1s actually help you to retain lean mass if you eat enough. That
Yes.
The clinical literature showed that it helps stimulate skeletal muscle, not decrease skeletal muscle. People that are insulin resistant have already turned off they've activated their FOXO1 gene, and that creates muscle degradation. And so their muscle now gets layered in fat, right? So it's like Wagyu beef, right? Instead of being what I call horse meat, we want to be very lean and dense muscle. And so if you can change your diet, meaning getting people to get that protein in, getting them to get some resistance training in. We recommend 2 to 3 resistance training sessions a week. We really believe in 1.6 grams per kilogram body weight for their protein. And then if they're having trouble getting that protein in because, oh, my appetite's down, all right, let's figure out how we get it in other ways. Right?
Well, I use liquid egg whites. So I have all my clients take liquid egg whites, put it in a blender with berries, because our berries are still low glycemic. I'm not super dogmatic about glycemic, but it makes them feel like they're doing the right thing.
Sure.
I throw hemp seeds in there or Udo's oil, which is my favorite. And that is the best hack ever. And it's so easy. There's no stomach discomfort.
Right. So one of the ones I do is I have people take like a hemp protein that's got branched chain amino acids in it. It's got watermelon seed, pumpkin seed protein. And then I have them, they can use blueberries, they can put in blackberries, and then just have them add some water, stir it till it's a pudding. And then that way they're not drinking. If they, for some reason, are like, oh gosh, it's filling me up. Fine, eat it as a pudding. It's okay. It's more dense. You'll get 20
Can you
to
put it
30
in the freezer and make ice cream out of it?
Oh, I love making ice cream out of it. I use my creamy. What are you talking about? You get the Ninja Creamy, man. That's the big hack right there.
It's like, if I can make anything healthy ice cream for people, that is the hack.
Well, no, I can tell you right now that when I saw the Ninja Creamy, if the first time I was bought, because I love ice cream, but I can't eat ice cream. I have a dairy allergy as well. So for me, it's like, all right, I'm going to make the best stinking non-dairy ice cream I can make, right? And add in the fiber, add in some amino acids, add in a little bit of protein before you know it, a little bit of MCTs, right? A little bit of oil, and boom, you got yourself a fantastic ice cream. So
okay,
I
we're going to share that hack with everybody. I'm going to put the hack right on the description so everybody has it. So, because I've already told you this, I BIA scan every single one of my GLP-1 patients. In brick and mortar, I work with over 150. And then through telemedicine, I work with over 2,000. I send them out to go get their BIA scans. And I'm looking at intracellular and extracellular fluid because I want to follow their inflammation and I can pick up on the lifestyle issues. I'm looking at their visceral body fat and I'm looking at their skeletal muscle mass that it never drops below optimal. And then I'm looking at their BMR and their TEE so I can calculate the correct calories and macros. So, with all of that said, what do you think the most important elements for GLP-1s is to track?
Wow. I mean, for me, it's more oriented at like any inflammation markers. Because in the end, if I'm looking at blood, I'm looking at mean platelet volume, I'm looking at C-reactive protein, homocysteine, I'm looking at particle size changes in their lipids. So on a blood test, I'm looking at that. Simple stuff would be if blood pressure is a problem, blood pressure, resting heart rate, big, 2-minute heart rate recovery, big. You should see changes in heart rate variability.
So let's talk about visceral body fat for a second. So most people, we talk about subcutaneous, and I always laugh because my clients in Alaska versus my clients in Florida all have different they have very varying subcutaneous. So why is visceral body fat such a concern and why GLP-1s work so well on it?
Well, I mean, for one, visceral fat is what really triggers a huge source of adipokine function. So adipokines are the inflammatory compounds that can be produced in that fat. So visceral fat will release angiotensinogen, which converts angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Why is that a big deal? Because your thickness in your arteries, your intimomedial thickness gets bigger and stiffer, and now your blood pressure goes up and you get more inflammatory processes going on within those arteries. That's one. You make more aromatase. So now all of a sudden you're starting to alter men's testosterone, going to estrogen and DHT. Women are androgenizing, taking their estrogens and making more tests. That's a big problem. You make more inflammatory cytokines. IL-6, TNF-alpha gets pushed out. You turn down your adiponectin, which is needed to make your insulin receptors work. So you need adiponectin, and it gets turned down because you release something called resistin in your visceral fat. So your visceral fat's kind of this engine to create all things bad.
So that's why we need to monitor visceral body fat. First and foremost, if they're on a GLP-1, every 30, 60, and 90 days, we got to figure out a way to measure visceral body fat.
Love the fact of measuring visceral body fat. You know, we've got a DEXA here at the Target Center, which is our beta site for what we're doing. But it's, you know, using, you know, BIA, using, you know, EVOL, right? You've got great calculations that you can start to calculate and you can monitor that. Super important.
Why? And we can monitor it every 30 days. I don't have to send them out to go get testing. It's something, it's so small and
it's like easy peasy, right? Real simple. Why are GLP-1s so good at this? Well, when GLP-1s block glucagon, one of their mechanisms, it allows for the beiging of white fat and the browning of beige fat. So you literally attack that white visceral fat and transform it to a usable form of energy. So that's basically it. There's a little bit more to it in a couple different directions, but that's pretty much the process. Is that
so people on a GLP-1 are not just losing body weight, they are losing visceral body fat. And we know this because we've been monitoring their progress every 30 days.
100%. That's exactly right. No, I mean, I think GLP-1s are one of the most important finds of the last 20 years in healthcare. Especially
I think it's as big as penicillin, a biggest discovery as penicillin.
Yeah, especially in our US population that for whatever reason, look, if it's environmental burden, if it's the additives in the food, if it's the fact that we're under stress and therefore we just want to eat comfort food like crazy, or the fact that because we have a primitive brain in a modern world, our brain sees food and we say eat. Because we have that whole starvation thing running through that ancestry in us, right? It's like, hey, I think I ought to eat. Why? I don't know. Probably because I should eat.
Yeah, I just want to.
Exactly.
So let's talk about optimal muscle mass. So the one thing that I do find fascinating about all of this conversation about muscle mass is that most of my obese clients, BMI over 30, have surplus muscle to begin with.
Oh,
They
of
don't
course.
have very low muscle. And none of them have ever dropped below optimal. And like I said to you, in many cases, I've been able to build muscle and lose body fat. So what is our guideline on monitoring progress for muscle? They can lose a little. We just don't want them to drop below optimal. What do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I think especially when people are overweight or obese, they get truncal muscle mass increase because they got to carry a lot of weight, right? So their overall muscle mass is there. So you can lose some muscle mass, and in fact, it may very well be desirable, but typically you won't see, in that case, when you're describing a case of they're over optimal, I don't like people losing more than 5% unless it has to do with their aesthetics and they're still big and there's still room to shed some mass, as long as they're not losing skin elasticity and they're not losing strength. So for me, it's more about that combination of, hey, where does your body look? Are you happy? How much lean mass came off because overall, you had some excess lean mass, but you should have the majority of that weight come off as fat mass, and you should definitely be rid of your visceral mass.
Yeah. And so the way you maintain that skeletal muscle mass, because we have to meet our clients where they're at, right? Like we have some people on a GLP-1 that are terrified to walk into a gym. They've never walked into a gym a day in their lives. So we got to meet people where they're at. So we want them all to walk after their largest meal of the day. So they're using insulin. And then we need to get them to do resistance training. And then we want them to eat protein. That's kind of your recipe, or do you have a little bit different recipe?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. People that get on a GLP-1 are 2 times more likely to go into a gym than they were before.
Oh, for sure. It gives them confidence to go into the gym once it's not so difficult.
Right, exactly. And so I like people to walk, and because I think look, incredibly important, just a baseline fitness is to be able to walk, right? I mean, you're going to get some oxygenation. It's not hard on your immune system. People think they have to train hard in order to kind of get the results they need. And you need to move. That's the first step. Just start moving, get on that walk, make it happen. I mean, minimum 30 minutes, 6 days a week is the ideal. Certainly, if you can just get in a walk after dinner, to your point, it's a huge benefit. And then I'd like them to get to some resistance training, because a lot of people that are obese have also probably been not digesting well. So if their bone mass is compromised, getting a little bit of resistance effect is good. But once again, let's just get started somewhere. Let's get moving versus saying getting in the golf cart to go get your mail at the end of your driveway, right? It's like,
well, and the thing that I think is so interesting is like, you're not going to get hurt picking up 5-pound weights on YouTube. Like, go look at a YouTube video, pick up 2 5-pound weights and follow along. You're not going to throw your back out. You're not going to hurt your knee. It will only benefit you. Let's just start there with your walk, or go for a walk with 5-pound hand weights. I do not care, but get moving.
Right. That's right. Get moving. Try to put a little bit of resistance to it, and you're going to find yourself in a lot better space. And I think it's also important because the movement also helps with improving your insulin glucose signaling through that GLUT4 transport, which is kind of the main way you want to bring glucose into your cells, so you can make a lot of ATP and you get back to making energy, so you feel good, right?
Yeah.
So the exercise part's really important for helping to reinitiate getting that signaling of how your body utilizes glucose, utilizes insulin, puts glycogen back onto your muscle, how you carry branched chain amino acids back to your muscle, right? So that's where the exercise component I think is important. And the other one is people need to sleep. They got to make sure they're getting adequate rest. I mean, I'm really passionate about forcing people into a good night's sleep.
I do too. By the way, you have some really great sleep supplements, because I take them and they are phenomenal. It's the best sleep I've ever gotten in my life. And especially in menopause, they're pretty amazing.
There we go. Good.
Yeah. One little endorsement for me. I could give you lots of endorsements, but so let's talk about calories and protein. Sure. So GLP-1s, do we want to see them in a calorie deficit, or do you try to hit their baseline calories based on their BMR and TE?
I don't really like calorie deficits too much. I try to just hit a baseline with them because they're going to be more efficient. I try not to have them. I really don't want to have them on a low carb or no carb diet. They need to have some carbs in order to store glycogen. So I'm big on, get a modest carbohydrate intake in. It's going to be effective for you. Hit that protein requirement. And those are my two main things. If it's anything, it would be a slight caloric deficit, but not a lot, because you don't want people to waste. When you get into a big caloric deficit, you're going to waste muscle.
I mean, whether they're on a GLP-1 or not, whenever you get
no, that's just it. I mean, when you go into a caloric deficit, you're going to lose muscle. That's how it works. Yeah. I mean, that's how medical weight loss
literally how it works
for the last 50 years. I mean, you lose 30 to 40% of your lean mass is going to happen if you're on a caloric deficit diet, or you do a GLP-1 that makes you not want to eat and therefore puts you in a caloric deficit, right? So yeah, that's the issue. I mean, I absolutely love that you're so passionate and work so hard at helping people maintain and gain lean mass while they're losing fat, because that's the secret.
And this is the first time. Well, the reason I'm so passionate about it, I don't stop shutting up about it. I talk about it all the time.
I haven't noticed that though, Sharon. I didn't notice that.
What? Oh, yeah, but I'm really passionate about this. I'm insanely passionate about it. Nobody notices. The reason I'm so passionate about it is because it's the first time, like, I have coached bodybuilders, I've coached figure competitors. This is the holy grail of health and wellness, is our ability to cut body fat and gain muscle at the same time. We've never been able to do this. So, I mean, it's like, I would put everybody on a GLP-1 if I could, but that's another story for another day.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, a lot of times I use like a peptide like sermorelin, or I use a small molecule called OSO1 that actually balances mTOR, stimulates AMP kinase. It's really a nice combo with the GLP-1s. You get this really nice enhanced effect, and it's just, I like it because it's given people hope when they were hopeless. What I really like is people reaching out to individuals like yourself, where you're guiding and coaching and really helping them do it the right way. What I worry about is people trying to do these things on their own. I mean, I've seen Facebook groups where, somebody's got a needle pulled up with a vial, and like, is this the right amount?
It kills me every time I see it. I can't.
That's the scary stuff, right?
And the other thing is, I'm going to pick on conventional doctors just a little bit, because they don't care about monitoring your progress. And that's so frustrating to me. Like, if you're getting the name brand medications, your doctor just threw a pen at you. And then when you plateau, they just keep giving you more and more medication. And then you're only 5 months into your journey and you're as high as up on your medication as you can go, and you've got nowhere to go from there. And it's so frustrating to me to see that, because it's so unnecessary. Like on tirzepatide, I don't have anybody above 7.5 ever. I've never needed to.
You don't need it. I mean, no. We've I would agree. And I would say I've never had anyone on semaglutide above 500 micrograms.
Yeah. I don't even use semaglutide anymore.
Well, yeah. I do them both, because sometimes I have people that even at, like, I had a couple people that even at 5 milligrams of tirzepatide, they were getting loose stools, and it didn't matter whether I did or what, no matter what I did. I mean, I took them off, I retitrated, I did everything. They were just sensitive. Then I flip them over to semaglutide, and there it went. They were able to tolerate it. So I'm with you. I think if you do things with a full thought around the health of the individual, then you don't need to use as much of it. And there could come a time where when they want to get off, they're able to come off, because you've retrained those incretin hormones and you've retrained the sensitivity of the pancreas. And I think that's important too, because there are people that, they want to try and manage it without having to be on it the rest of their life.
Well, but here's the thing. The reason why people like you and I are able to go low and slow is because we're monitoring progress every 30, 60, and 90 days. The reason why people are having to go so high is because the doctor doesn't know that they've lost body fat and gained muscle, and they're not seeing results on the scale. So it's like you and I are doing something that is very unique in this industry. I spend all day long educating people on using any technology to monitor progress, and they simply are just not doing it. And these are most of the functional medicine doctors I work with.
Oh, yeah. And then people end up losing, facial fat. They end up getting the classic Ozempic butt, then they become skinny fat. Problem with that whole thing is you start running into the same issue that people ran into with HCG diets, right? If you keep losing lean mass, you're losing resting metabolic rate, right? Your resting energy expenditure, it is going down because you don't have that lean mass anymore. So, there's people that are like, well, they're already trying to go back on it a second and third time, and they just didn't have that understanding that if you maintain lean mass, you keep having a nice healthy metabolism that's able to burn calories.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing as well.
Yeah, no, it's without a doubt.
So Jim Lavelle, I want to thank you for coming on and talking to me today. We covered a lot of subjects, which I love dearly. And I'm going to see you in April, and I can't wait.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it. Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I want to thank you for tuning in to the Weight Loss Decoded GLP Edition podcast. My name is Sharon Polsky, your GLP Fat Fairy. And if you liked today's episode, if you could please subscribe, like, and share with your friends, that would be great. I also want to remind you that these are just the opinions of myself and my guests and should not be interpreted as medical advice. Until next time, ciao for now.